So, today we're once again going to go through Yes to Life, I think it is called, Despite of Everything. It is definitely by Viktor Frankl, one of the, a good author, the author of Man's Search for Meaning, which is an amazing book, an amazingly interesting book at least. And yeah, anyway, we're going to go through this summary. I don't know how, maybe I'm actually going to be able to finish it up today or to finish up with it, but we're gonna see and we're gonna notice and we're gonna then do something. No. So life is somehow duty, a single huge obligation, and there's certainly joy in life too, but it cannot be pursued, it cannot be willed into being as joy, rather it must arise spontaneously, and in fact it does arise spontaneously just as an outcome may arise. Happiness should not, must not, and can never be a goal, but only an outcome, the outcome of the fulfillment of that which in Tagore's poem is called duty. All human striving for happiness in this sense is doomed to failure, as luck can only fall into one's lap but can never be hunted down. In a sentiment James Baldwin would echo 2 decades later in his superb forgotten essay on the antidote to the hour of despair and life as a moral obligation to the universe, Frankl turns the question onto itself. At this point, it would be helpful to perform a conceptual turn through 180 degrees, after which the question can no longer be, what can I expect from life, but can now only be, what does life expect of me? What task in life is waiting for me? Now we also understand how, in the final analysis, the question of the meaning of life is not asked in the right way. If asked in the way it is generally asked, it is not we who are permitted to ask about the meaning of life. It is life that asks the questions, directs questions at us. We are the ones who must answer, must give answers to the constant hourly question of life, to the essential life questions, quote unquote. Life itself means nothing other than being questioned. Our whole act of being is nothing more than responding to, of being responsible toward life. With this mental standpoint, nothing can scare us anymore. No future, no apparent lack of a future, because now the present is everything as it holds the essentially new questions of life for us. So I want to repeat it again, and I'm very sorry. I'm gonna deal with it. I'm actually so fatigued everywhere. It's insane. I don't know why, but it is what it is. There's actually a lot of things that I'm fighting with at the time. But yeah, anyway. Where do I start? We are the ones who must answer, must give answers to the constant hourly question of life, to the essential quote-unquote life questions. Living itself means nothing other than being questioned. Our whole act of being is nothing more than responding to, of being responsible toward life. With this mental standpoint, nothing can scare us anymore. No future, no plan. Like the problem is I just don't get that new standpoint. I don't feel like, wow, okay, I don't care if I don't have any future or whatnot. So if we just answer to life, everything we do is an answer. Well, now I get it. It is indeed about present things then. It is indeed about whatever is happening right now that is then of importance, because I am just responding to whatever is happening. And I'm responding right now like I can't respond in the future. Like I just can't do that. I'm physically not able to respond in the future because I'm not living in the future, because I'm living in the present. Frankl adds a caveat of tremendous importance. Triply so in our present culture of self-appointed gurus, self-help demagogues, and endless podcast feeds of interviews with accomplished individuals attempting to distill a universal recipe for self-actualization. The question life asks us, and in answering which we can realize the meaning of the present moment, does not only change from hour to hour, but also changes from person to person. The question is entirely different in each moment for every individual. We can therefore see how the question as to the meaning of life is posed too simply, unless it is posed with complete specificity, in the concreteness of the here and now. To ask about the meaning of life in this way seems just as naive to us as the question of a reporter interviewing a world-class chess champion and asking, "And now, master, please tell me, which chess move do you think is the best?" Is there a move, a particular move that could be good or even the best beyond a very specific, concrete game situation, a specific configuration of the pieces? Is this the end? Are you fucking kidding me? No, it's not. What emerges from Frankl's inversion of the question is the sense that just as learning to die is learning to meet the universe on its own terms, learning to live is learning to meet the universe on its own terms, terms that change daily, hourly, and by the moment. One way or another, there can only be one alternative at a time to give meaning to life, meaning to the moment, so at any time we only need to make one decision about how we must answer, but each time a very specific question is being asked of us by life. From all this follows that life always offers us a possibility for the fulfillment of meaning. Therefore, there is always the option that it has a meaning. One could also say that our human existence can be made meaningful to the very last breath. As long as we have breath and as long as we are still conscious, we are each responsible for answering life's questions. With this symphonic prelude, Frankl arrives at the essence of what he discovered about the meaning of life in his confrontation with death, a central fact of being at which a great many of humanity's deepest tears have arrived via one path or another. From Rilke, who so passionately insisted that death is our friend precisely because it brings us into absolute and passionate presence with all that is here, that is natural, that is love, to physicist Brian Greene, who so poetically nested our search for meaning into our morality or mortality in the most element fact of the universe. So Frankl writes, "The fact and only the fact that we are mortal, that our lives are finite, that our time is restricted and our possibilities are limited, this fact is what makes it meaningful to do something, to exploit a possibility and make it become a reality, to fulfill it, to use our time and occupy it. Death gives us compulsion to do so, therefore death forms the background against which our act of being becomes a responsibility. Death is a meaningful part of life, just like human suffering. Both do not rob the existence of human beings of meaning, but make it meaningful in the first place. Thus, it is precisely the uniqueness of our existence in the world, the irretrievability of our lifetime, the irrevocability of everything with which we fill it or leave unfilled, that gives our existence significance. But it is not only the uniqueness of an individual life as a whole that gives its importance, it is also the uniqueness of every day, every hour, every moment that represents something that loads our existence with the weight of a terrible and yet so beautiful responsibility. Any hour whose demands we do not fulfill or fulfill half-heartedly, this hour is forfeited for all eternity. Conversely, what we achieve by seizing the moment is once and for all rescued into reality in which it is only apparently cancelled out by becoming the past. In truth, it has actually been preserved in the sense of being kept safe. Having been is the sense, perhaps even the safest form of being. The being, the reality that we have rescued into the past in this way can no longer be harmed by transitoriness. What all of this reminds me of is memento mori. Remember that you're gonna die. And the funny thing is that Viktor Frankl lived between, I can't actually tell, but I think that he died around 19 something, I guess. Let me see. Viktor Frankl. Let's see what we can find. Apparently nothing, just because I can't spell. Viktor E. Frankl, MD, PhD, was professor of neurology and psychiatry at the University of Vienna Medical School and visiting professor at Harvard and universities in Dallas, Pittsburgh, and San Diego. In 1984 and something. But I just want to have his puzzle-sans. Austria, Holocaust survivor. Oh, yeah, I know I was quite right. He was living from 1905 till 1997. So I do want to point out that the Stoics, from which I've gotten this thing called memento mori, And I don't really think that they have kind of founded it per se, but I mean, they've just used it, but they've used it 2,000 years ago. Remember that you're gonna die. And this is what I'm seeing there as well. Like, this is exactly what I'm seeing there. Like, okay, remember that you're gonna die. Maybe you're just gonna use this day, this hour, this second in a good way, and not by dwelling around and by being unhappy and sad about whatever happened to you or whatever is happening to you, but especially what happened to you, because all of which is in the past is what it is. So don't get flushed down or fucked down by whatever is happening. And the funny thing is, and I just want to give you a little bit of context, I'm feeling kind of strange today. I'm having to deal with things from the past today. I really heavily do have to. Including some things that I really am unhappy about and that I really am not stoked about, and some things that I really am also kind of ashamed about. Things that I did, things that I said, things that I really feel entirely sorry about. I can't change these things. The only thing that I can do is apologize and try to be as good of a human being as I can from now on, and let the past be the past. But yeah, it is a great reminder that, okay, yes, I fucked up. Yes, everything is shitty and everything can be shitty if I focus on it, of course. But memento mori, you're gonna die. In the remainder of the slender and splendid Yes to Life, Frankl goes on to explore how the imperfections of human nature add to, rather than subtract from, the meaningfulness of our lives and what it means for us to be responsible for our own existence. Complemented with Mary Shelley writing 2 centuries ago about a pandemic savage world on what makes life worth living, Walt Whiteman contemplating this question after surviving a paralytic stroke, and a vitalizing cosmic antidote to the fear of death from astrophysicist and poet Rebecca Elson. Then revisit Frankl on humor as lifeline to sanity and survival. And this is actually it, but I'm only 12 minutes in, and I don't like that. What if I memento mori? Let's see what Wikipedia is saying about memento mori. This article is about the philosophical reminders of death's inevitability for other users. See memento mori, disambiguation. I think that I'm also going to have a look at this, but anyway. Remember that you have to die is an artistic or symbolic reminder of the inevitability of death. And there is actually a lot of countries or areas where memento mori was used, apparently. Islam as well. Buddhism, France, music, literature, architecture as well. Very interesting. I know this picture. I mean, in art history, we also went through memento mori, but it never really struck me. I think that I've never understood it actually. But now I kind of do more, I guess. I don't know. It's a difficult thing. It's I don't know, it may not be easy, let's put it like that. But what about this other memento mori? Remember you will die is a common motive in art. It may also refer to Eureka's 7 episode, Lynn Barrels of Iron episode, Legimel episode, or anime. Film and television, games, literature, music, and all sorts of other things. But I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. Things aren't easy. Things are never going to be easy. But we're always in control of how we respond to things in our lives, which is definitely also something that Viktor Frankl also, as we've gone through today, has been talking about and really also was focusing on. But yeah, it is a difficult thing to say, though, that we can change the way we respond to things, because to some degree we can't. It's just some automatic response that is in our head actually from time to time, and I've seen it with me being very aggressive, in a sense of kind of exploding when something happens, and I don't actually know why. I know it's not a response that I wanted to have and I wanted to do, but it just happened. But still, we can respond consciously to things, and we do choose to respond. And I don't know, like the whole thing about responding to life rather than it's responding to us, to what we do, is an interesting thought. You know, I do like both sides as I'm thinking about it, but I don't know, like I understand both of them, I get both of them, and I know both of them just actually make sense. So yeah, the next thing is as well going to be some other, what you should know about the stages of grief. There seems to be a grief cycle. Can I just really quickly have a look at it? Just because it is so interesting. You know, but you know, the next episode is always going to be about a book. I don't know what book it's going to be about, but it is going to be about one. Anyway, I think, do I want to go through that? Well, I do want to. Just this small little thing there. So Kübler-Ross grief cycle. So it starts with, so there seems to be 3 phases: information and communication, then emotional support, and then guidance and direction. The first point is denial, avoidance, confusion, irritation, shock, and fear. Then anger, frustration, irritation, anxiety. Then bargaining, struggling to find meaning, reaching out to others and telling one's story. Then depression, overwhelmed, helplessness, hostility, and flight. But then comes acceptance, exploring options, new plan in place, moving on. It is a funny thing that I today, you know, sometimes I feel like that my life is trying to tell me some things. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I think I'm gonna end the episode there. So I wish you best health, happiness, and all success, and also hope that you're gonna mind yourself and you're gonna be remembered, which basically means your legacy, and basically means just being a nice person and then being remembered as a nice person, which is a pretty fucking cool thing. But yeah. 3 other questions that I have you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what's bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, which is a pretty fucking cool thing. Yeah. One other thing that I want to give you is, what could you essentially say to another person that is indeed going to change their life? Because I totally believe from the bottom of my heart that we all can say something, that we all can communicate something that is indeed going to change somebody's life. Like, I believe in that. I don't know. I have that in my heart. I you know, I may also see that every fucking single day. I don't know. I do think that it works, that it is possible and stuff. But anyway. Fucking hell. There's insufficient. I do hope that it's not broken. I would fuck my ass if it is broken. Nice.